Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to languages for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I'm your Keeper Michael, and we return to Masks of Nyarlathotep now in our Egypt chapter. And when last we met with our gathered investigators, they had arrived in Alexandria and had made their way to Cairo, which is where we'll pick up our adventures. But first, we would like to thank all of our Patreon backers for helping create and support the show. Some of you are very much enjoying having your hand of fate played in our story. If you'd like to join us in that regard, patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. We would happy to have you come aboard. And so now we're going to have our introductions. So to my right.
This is Tiffany, and I play Maeve O'Shea, and I'm slightly uncomfortable.
Just slightly. You're a little warmer now, though. And so overall, a little better. To Miss O'Shea's right.
This is Morgan. I play Lillian Lane, and I'd like to thank whoever gave me that dark hand of fate a couple episodes ago, because I still need to pass my sand roll.
Yes, we'll get to that. Isn't that lovely? And so at the end of the table.
This is Jake. I'm playing Jack Doyle, and I'm finally going to get to see the pyramids.
We'll see about that. To Mr. Doyle's right.
This is Lonnie. I am playing Awdel, and I am here doing the business that I was hired for.
Ooh, interesting. To Awdel's right.
This is James. I'll be playing Dr. Sigmund Tartenbach, and it's not the heat, it's the humidity, clearly, that gets you.
Yes, the age-old, it's a dry heat commentary. Yes. And last but most certainly not least.
This is Alex. I'll be playing Saint Perron, who is weighing the benefits of engaging in an indecent proposal of sorts.
Wait, like the movie? So, as we raise the curtain tonight, we raise it on an evening in Cairo. And so while there were discussions last game about potentially securing a place of safety, one where the investigators could operate out of, in the here and now, in the moment when you arrive in Cairo, where are you deciding to lay your head that evening?
We should probably get just hotel rooms for the evening, and then we can discuss.
What is, we're looking for a decent hotel that is perhaps not too flashy. What would you suggest? You seem to know the area quite well.
Yeah, I mean, there are many hotels for them to choose from. You're not sure what he means by flashy, but clearly...
They have certain luggage that they wouldn't like to have too many British officials seeing, or Egyptian police.
Certainly. And so, in that regard, you would likely direct them to Shepherd's, perhaps. Given its station, its overall station, money will buy security.
Yep. And I will advise them of such.
Did you say shepherds?
Shepherds.
Well, by all means, lead the way, my good man.
Shepherd's Hotel? Mm-hmm. Erected in 1841, this beautiful and historically large hotel dominates one section of the Cairo street it rests on. Now, the streets themselves, as you make your way walking towards them, reveal themselves to be just as packed during the evening, with many in the local area using the lack of sun to go out and finally enjoy the air. The spring air here is very refreshing for locals. And you can see that there are many tradesmen, families, even some dignitaries, some that go by coach or by car that are enjoying the evening. But Shepherd is seemingly a hub of activity. It's like going into the Waldorf if the Waldorf had an enormous cafe in front of it, where palm trees rest. There are gentle pools of water. It is very European in many regards. You can see that there are a line of these dragomen across the street who wait with bated breath as European travelers exit and thus signal to them and then get where they want to go.
Was it clear when we met Mr. Czar in Alexandria was it clear when he approached us that he bowed to Maeve?
He bowed. Given that she was in the center of the investigators, very difficult to tell perhaps from your cultural familiarity as far as who he was bowing to.
Okay.
Bowing is not something that generally happens in European culture unless you're talking to royalty, so it'd be very difficult for you to discern who he was bowing to, but he did bow.
Okay.
And you're not sure particularly if that's a Arabic tradition. Perhaps it's a thing that the dragomen do.
The other fellow bowed too, right?
He did, but it was more of a
Perfunctory.
yeah, it didn't seem to be specific. You arrive at the hotel.
Would you be able to secure us a couple rooms, Mr. Czar?
Absolutely. And walk right up to the counter and
Yeah, you walk up to a maitre d' who stands outside. This is the person that you would contact because you would know that dragomen are not allowed on business inside the hotel unless they have a party specifically. Like, you can't go in the hotel unless you're with someone. Because this hotel, especially like many other European hotels, require a separation so that way guides don't fill the bar with their business. It's also, quite frankly, probably from your perspective, likely a lot of baked-in racism to separate whites from Arabs.
Yes, absolutely.
And so the maitre d' sees you walk up, and he acknowledges you.
I have a party of 6. We need some rooms.
Ah, wonderful. And the party, he opens a wide ledger. May I ask who the rooms will be billed to?
I will look back at Jack.
Okay.
Because he seems to be in charge of security, so...
So they were speaking Arabic.
Yeah, they were speaking Arabic. You look back at Jack, not knowing...
He looks back at me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll approach.
Who's in charge of the financial arrangements of the party?
I will.
You gesture to him. The maitre d' looks at you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Is this your dragoman then?
Yes, he is.
Very well. His English is crisp and perfect.
And British.
Very. Very well then. Would you like to allow him entrance to the hotel?
Yes, it would be very useful for us.
Understood. I'll make a note here. And how many in your party?
There'll be 5 of us, and plus Mr. Czar here.
Wonderful. Makes a note. And then we should build the rooms to you?
Yes.
Very well. He gives you a small slip of paper. Take this inside to the front desk, and they'll make the arrangements there. I'm certain that there are some very pleasant rooms that you and the party can enjoy.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
I'll wave the rest of them up.
I give the maitre d' a big old I'm a porter smile as I roll by with the luggage.
He gives you a seemingly understanding, don't mess anything up look, and you enter the hotel. Shepherd's is a wonderful place. It is a luxury hotel here. It offers you everything that you possibly could want for finery or for relaxation. The one thing that you notice especially is the sheer amount of servants that are waiting on people. You are not really prepared, those of you who are foreign to the land, to seeing people be waited on by very classically white Egyptian cotton dressed people, locals. And there is a very specific racial component to it. It's undeniable.
I mean, we're somewhat familiar with that
You are.
from
but
a different,
This even to you, Jack, this feels a little different. This feels more like there's an extra weight of almost
subjugation.
Yeah, there's a little dirtiness to it. There's a little, what it is this. The Europeans that you are seeing here do it are enjoying it. And the enjoyment part is what gets under your skin.
It's almost like because it's so ingrained in America that it's just expected.
Yeah, or maybe you've been ignoring it.
Right. Yeah. But if you go to Europe and it's not as okay in Europe, so when they come here, they make full use of it.
Could be.
What this is called is colonialism.
It does sour the finery here of the hotel for those of you who share those views. Your rooms, however, are fantastic. There are terraces here that look out onto the streets of Cairo that are second to none. The Azbekaya Gardens are nearby, and all of the greenery and beauty that is an evening in Cairo is on display. Getting settled is relatively simple. You have 2 rooms. They require separation of man and woman unless there is a clearly a marriage in place. And while the 2 of you have been pussyfooting about being married when it suits you, yeah, it's true. You've been doing that. Unless you're going to continue that ruse,
No reason.
you'll be separated. That said, you're eventually settled into a nice room. And Czar, while you have run of the hotel while you are here, as you are now a guest, or perhaps a little lesser than a guest, you are at least acknowledged by the maitre d'.
Yeah.
You have the ability to come and go in the building at least.
Mm-hmm. I'm part of the help now.
You are.
Mr. Czar, if you would, I think we're going to be in Egypt for a somewhat long time. So we were talking about maybe renting a house or perhaps some kind of rooms somewhere we could be more private than staying in a hotel.
I understand.
And I think you would be the best person to do so, as you are familiar with the city.
There are some such places. Not a lot, you understand. Spaces at a premium. Places with privacy. They cost a bit more. There's a lot less of it around. But we can get that for you.
Yeah, we
Easily.
have funds, so.
Lonnie, since Awdel will not be staying here at the hotel,
No.
that is clear. Will you be returning to your own dwelling that evening, or will you be attempting to ascertain or locate some sort of additional private housing?
At this time of night, you're not going to be able to get private housing. The thing I do want to do before I leave is break this 100 pounds that I've got in my pocket.
Sure.
I would like to break that down into smaller denominations.
Really? Easily done at the front desk?
Yep, I would do that at the front desk, and then I would, first I would advise Mr. Doyle that I'll be available in the morning at some reasonable hour.
Likely you'll be returning in the morning.
Yep.
What are the plans for tomorrow? Because as a guide, as a dragoman, you'll want to know, okay, what are you planning to do tomorrow? Because I need to be here.
We have a few people we are going to visit.
Official capacity or personal business?
We have some. We need to ask them a few questions. A little interview, I guess.
We need to go see Dr. Clive at Mycernius.
Mycernius is...
but that's in Giza, right?
Yes, that's on the Giza Plateau. That's
Mm-hmm.
far. That's south of Cairo for certain.
Yep.
What's the distance to get there?
We have business in Cairo.
Right.
The Street of Jackals?
Yes.
My ears perk up at that.
Oh, yeah.
They have business at the Street of Jackals.
Yes, now you're beginning to see certain things.
I think that's all that's here because we need to go to Kenya and Nairobi
And Gisa. And we need to see Warren Bessert. He was the one with the Street of Jackals.
Right.
Bassett, you're not necessarily by name familiar with, but the Street of Jackals you are familiar with.
And then at some point, there is a location out in the desert, I guess, that we're going to be visiting.
Do they happen to sell a map at the front desk?
Yeah, traveler's
city?
map at best, yeah.
Oh, that's enough.
Okay.
I grabbed one.
As was mentioned, this is Ezbekaya Gardens. Okay. And then here is the Shepherd Hotel. So Ezbekaya is an enormous garden in the middle of Cairo. And it has fountains and it has a very beautiful rivered area. This is what we would call a more luxurious place in Cairo. This is where a lot of money is. There's multiple hotels here. It's where a lot of main travel thoroughfares reach through. And it is also where Thomas Cook & Sons is, which is an international travel booking agency. Same people that book for the Orient Express. For your benefit, Awdel, the Street of Jackals is far, far away.
Yep.
It is in a eastern portion of Cairo. It is in likely a very tough neighborhood.
Yeah, that's almost on the edge of the desert right there.
Yes. Yep. So you now know where they want to go, Awdel. You'll have to make your advisements therein.
I will deal with that in the morning.
Yes, of course. Why deal with anything today you can put off till tomorrow?
It's not so much that. It's just that it's very, very, very late at night. And no one's going to the Street of Jackals at this time of night. I will advise them if they want some light entertainment. There's probably some jazz musicians playing at the French club right there next to the hotel. The banks are all closed right now, but there's also the Turf Club a few blocks over.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest if they travel, don't travel alone. Travel in at least pairs.
Yep.
And I can immediately start looking for lodgings for them of a suitable sort.
Okay. So you all bed down for the evening. It has been a very long day. Having gotten off the Mediterranean in the mid-morning to afternoon, to having clothing shopped, the long tram ride here. The room service at the Shepherd's Hotel is phenomenal, should you choose to engage in it. They have a lot of, quite frankly, European meals. They also have quite a few local choices as well, although they are tailored choices. So you are getting it through a specific lens, we'll just say that.
I'm sharing a room with Jack and the doctor, right?
I would imagine you are, yes.
Yeah, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
So just obviously, like once we get into the room, I will, and Awdel has left, I will stop concealing my inner seethe, and we'll probably begin like meticulously going through all our things, making sure that everything is assembled and like cleaned and loaded and mad and sharpened and mad
Clunk clank.
until I go to sleep.
Does the hotel have like a rooftop lounging area? Like I know a lot of the places.
No,
in
you have a
Cairo.
private terrace for
Okay.
your suite, but that's about it.
Fantastic. I'm out on the terrace with a drink.
Yeah.
Taking in the night air and watching the city of Cairo.
Because the room smells like gun oil.
I'm probably on the terrace singing my devotional.
There's a beautiful sound from the terrace nearby.
Is there a bar downstairs?
A
Yes.
massive one.
No bars for you.
I'm not gonna go
No.
drink
The
hard
bar's
alcohol.
fine as long as you stay away from the Yonk.
Yeah, no, you can't touch that. I go down to the bar and just order like a white wine. Or
Yeah, no, clearly. They are happy to take care of you in any way, shape, or form that they can. They offer you several different types to choose from. Some you've heard, some you have not.
I pick one that's a little bit sweeter. Like I don't even know if did they have Moscato back then?
I'm certain they did.
I wasn't alive then.
They'll
So.
probably have some kind of fruit wine.
So the evening is spent in a lot of different ways for each one of you, whether it be relaxation, whether it be forced relaxation through, we'll say, a rather punishing amount of cleaning and preparing, or whether it be singing. But either way, two things arrive later that evening. One is the slightest rumble of thunder. You don't remember the last time it rained in Cairo, Awdel. And when it rains that evening, the ground shakes. For you in the hotel, it is a strong enough storm to wake you from sleep. Lightning with crackles, rumbles. The only person it likely does not wake is Miss Lane, who is busy sleeping.
Yet again.
Aren't you?
Am I? Am I rolling sand?
You sure are.
Damn it.
You're going to regret your curiosity.
I am. Oh, yeah. Yes! I got a 33 out of 44.
Very good. So on the third attempt, you finally have a reasonably sound sleep pattern.
Do I remember anything?
Oh, yes. You remember a very specific dream that you had recently, and an opera house, and an awful lot of fabric.
And the book. Do I remember the book
You do.
that I brought back with me?
You do now.
Okay.
When you wake from your sleep in the morning, you find it in your luggage.
Well, I'd seen it on the ship,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't read it then.
You couldn't read it then. And it seems the two don't have the same title.
So is the title back to... is it still the symbol on the book?
No, the symbol is gone now.
And what's the title now? Is it the Imperial...
No,
Mm.
the Imperial Dynasty of America. No, it is not.
Is it the Imperial Dynasty of the World?
No,
Oh, what's
the title is put simply The King in Yellow.
Oh, they changed again. Now I can read it though.
You sure can.
Okay.
You sure
And-
can.
Don't do it.
Well, I had started trying to read it earlier.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly fine.
I'm able to open it now and take a look and without nose bleeding and everything.
Well,
I mean,
Maybe.
we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
slow down.
But yeah, should you inspect the first few pages as you
Yes.
wake, it seems to be the detail of a play. So when morning arrives in Cairo, your guide has already arrived at the hotel. You're up before the sun, Awdel, as any good citizen of Cairo is, because you know as soon as the sun rises, so does the heat.
Yep.
Last night's storm offered a whole lot for the fields, but the streets are already dry, as you would expect.
Well, first thing on my list before I head there is I know I have to get them permits, but I can't remember if I have to have them in person there to get the permits or not.
I'm going to say you, as an experienced dragoman, could probably use your business acumen in the field to be able to acquire them for...
A nominal fee.
Certainly.
I will acquire 3.
Okay. And in basis, they're basically going to license the user to have firearms within the country region.
So you're only getting 3?
Well, he probably assumes that you two aren't carrying weapons.
So you acquire the permits for, we'll say a brief expenditure of about 10 Egyptian pounds.
Okay.
But you have one for each of the men, and you're fairly certain that they'll hold up as long as they don't do anything
Too stupid.
too stupid, yeah.
And we never do that.
Now, when it comes to renting a villa, because we don't have Airbnb, that would be more along the lines of there would be some companies involved in rental property.
Yeah, likely it's not a company, likely it's just people who own houses and land, like landlords.
Yeah.
you would go to a rich landholder, and they would be able to lease off a piece of land or a house.
Yep. Well, I wouldn't go because they probably wouldn't see me.
They would not.
No. But I know who to go see.
Sure, you might hire an intermediary to do that for you.
I think it's better if they just go themselves, but as long as I can give them the right direction to go in.
Makes sense.
And plus, I don't want to pay a middleman.
Oh, no, who does?
Hounds don't grow on trees.
No, probably not.
And then I will head over to the hotel.
Okay. So for those of you getting up at the hotel, breakfast is had. You all do about your probably nominal morning activities, whether it be sunning yourself or whether it be reading strange plays, perhaps preparing arms, having a good stiff drink to wake yourself up in the morning. That said, after breakfast and those are done, your guide appears again.
Guten Morgen, Atman.
Okay, he said something in a foreign language. I'm not sure what. I assume it's good morning.
It's interesting weather like we had last night. That just does not seem common.
No, rain is not common this time of year. I will immediately head to Mr. Doyle.
Okay.
He's up and moving around. I took the liberty of acquiring these for you and the other gentlemen of the party. You'll need those, I think. And I give him the weapons passes.
Yeah, there's permits for
Weapons, though.
Yep.
firearms.
That's fair. I'll give these to the rest of them when I
Other than that, I have someone for you to meet as far as acquiring lodgings.
Okay.
And if there's anything else you need from me, let me know.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm thinking I could go and set us up lodgings. Yeah. Well, you are dealing with first part of our business for today.
Would you like to do that?
Yeah, that should be fine. It is paperwork. I am a doctor. I am knowing how to do this. Yeah. This should not be a problem.
So if the doctor's going to go off and attempt to acquire semi-permanent lodgings, what are the rest of the group going to do?
Do you think you should be going by yourself in a city that we don't know and you may not speak Arabic?
Oh, I assumed he was going with me.
Oh, are you going with him, Mr. Czar?
Otherwise, I am not knowing how to get there.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll be going with him.
Then all you have to do is arrange your own transportation, yeah.
I'll bring the things as well so that we can inspect the grounds and make sure that they're up to snuff. I'm ready to get out of here anyway. I stand up.
All you have to do is begin speaking Arabic now. Flawlessly.
So you all move out?
Yeah, let's go investigate Cairo a little bit. It'd be nice to at least get an idea of the city.
Have they left yet, Mr. Czar, and have they walked off yet?
I don't believe so.
Mr. Czar, is there any parts of the city that we should avoid?
There are many parts of the city you should avoid.
Do you have any suggestions of where we could maybe do a little sightseeing of the city? Like,
Just stay around the hotel is my assumption.
Yes, most of the business that you will want to do is admirably centered within a few blocks of the hotel.
okay.
I mean, just seeing the gardens would probably
Right.
blow a few hours, honestly.
Yep.
That would be nice to go look at.
Okay.
I mean, we have been on a ship,
Yes.
freighter, for 4 days.
You have been unafraid for 4 days, yeah. And
Maybe get some fresh air.
Esbekaya is a beautiful and splendid garden.
And this is bound to be quite a change up from having gone through Italy just recently, which was depressing. So this is at least vibrant.
So for those of you going to check on lodgings, Lonnie, you know of a man who deals with property all over Cairo. He's a bit of an eclectic man. He's not a local per se. He wasn't born in Cairo. He's an American who's been here since just after World War I. Spent the better part of the Egyptian Revolution assisting the locals and has basically kind of baked himself in with the rest of the locals now who have accepted him as one. His name is Duncan.
I will tell Mr. Doyle all about Duncan, what I know, and he's a fellow American, so you should get along with him famously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds like he's an expat after World War I. Probably came overseas, did some fighting, and then basically decided that he didn't want to go home.
Yeah, happens.
You arrive at his rather reasonably decorated home. It's not really an estate; it's a home. And you see that he is out front in a chair with a bit of some sort of tent or banner over him to keep him out of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
He's having a nice drink, and he's relaxing.
I will immediately take and fall in behind.
Take the lead.
Sure.
Guten Tag.
Oh, Awdel. He waves.
Duncan.
Our mutual friend, Awdel here, has informed myself and my companions, not with me currently, that you perhaps have the means of renting us a house or leasing us a house or apartment.
You're looking for lodgings here in Cairo.
Indeed, something a little more permanent than the hotel.
He sets out a glass and then another. And then he pours something out of a pitcher into both of them. For you and your friend. He points at Sam.
Wunderbar.
Awdel, are you thirsty?
No, I'm fine.
Just hand the glass to Sam.
I'll take it and nod.
It smells like tea.
Okay. Watch him drink it before I drink it.
Take a nice long drink of it.
And really, really good.
That is
There's
refreshing.
There's a little lemon in it.
Wunderbar.
We are not without civilities here.
It's nice to see that the sun has not baked the manners out of Egypt, yeah.
Can I tell you, I find the people of Egypt far more mannered than most Americans I know.
I sit down at a chair next to him. I having just been through Italy, I am telling you that so far Cairo has been walking since the cake park.
Indeed. What type of lodgings? What type of house?
Something with a bit of solitude, if you will, or at least secure. We have been here for a little while, and we are wanting to have some solitude.
Secure. I see. Well, I own several pieces of property, one of which comes to mind, which has a couple of it's 3 floors. There is perhaps a good view of some portion of the marketplaces here. Although it is set back enough, it is in a dead end, as we would call it, yes?
Wunderbar, yeah.
And so the street stops there, so you could have a reasonable view that there is no foot traffic through the street. And that will help have you, give you a bit of a quieter picture.
That is sounding perfect.
All right, then.
How many entrances?
2.
I nod, impressed.
He smiles. When your associate here said secure, it changes the calculation. I know many, actually, who have come to me for very similar properties. They are looking for something to enjoy their time in Cairo with, but not be so worried about snakes or other people who might decide to visit them in the middle of the night.
Doc chuckles. I have never been one to be afraid of snakes, but definitely would like to keep the visitors down to a bare minimum, if not at all.
This property will afford you that quite easily.
Sounds most acceptable.
It's £5 a week.
Easily done.
You will have to attend to all of your own food and water needs, although there is a well nearby that is reasonably clean.
Are you aware of any provisioners in the area that we could work with?
I would direct you to your dragoman.
Yep. I would know exactly where to go.
I would not take business from a friend.
Awdel, I'm sure, is more than capable of helping us with all of those supplies.
Yes, he's a wonderful guide.
It sounds this would be most acceptable. Is there a down payment that we must put on?
And £20 for the first month.
Do I have that on me?
Probably.
Okay. I count out 25.
Okay. You count out 25 English pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put them down, you realize that you're not sure if
It's the same.
it's the same.
I keep my hand on top of them.
It should be fine.
Yeah, we are just arriving, so we are not having time to convert our monies yet. But
I would see to it as soon as you could.
definitely.
The clothes help, but the money will be unmistakable.
Absolutely. Well then, between gentlemen, slide the money towards him. This is, of course, all yours.
He doesn't initially pick it up. He leaves it there as if he's not worried about it.
Right. I down the rest of my tea and then place the glass on top of the money so it doesn't blow away in the Cairo breeze.
Why, I do hope that you have an opportunity to see the city and the sights beyond it.
It is our hope that we will also be able to see the city. You are knowing the city, yeah? Quite well.
Somewhat.
What are you knowing about the Street of the Jackals?
I cough politely.
He raises an eyebrow. Well, I think if you were going to get directions...
No, not for directions. I turn to, Awdel and be like, I apologize not to circumnavigate your abilities. I am just wondering if you had heard anything. I am hearing the phrase on the train before we are coming to Cairo, and I am wondering what it is or a place. Yeah?
Well, the street itself is... It is known to locals to be a place of wares, trades. It is a portion of the markets here. It can be filled with opinions.
Berlin has such a place where one can purchase almost anything if you are willing to pay the right price. Am I to assume that this is a similar place?
Perhaps.
Ha, wunderbar. Thank you, Duncan, for your time. You have been most amiable. And should you need us, you will, of course, know where to call upon us.
Really, I would simply ask, as I would ask anyone, to please treat my home with the respect that has been given to you with.
Absolutely. We would dream of nothing else. He tips his hat to Duncan, and thank you for the tea. It was most refreshing.
Good. Enjoy. He nods to you, Awdel.
I nod.
He says in Arabic, please be careful with them. His Arabic is not great, but it's pretty good for an American.
Yeah, I will reply back. If they're asking about the Street of Jackals, maybe I should be the one to be worried about.
He laughs. They have a word in Arabic and he chuckles afterwards.
Yep. Start heading back towards I imagine we're just on foot. So start heading back. On my way I find a any gold sparkly spangly bracelet thing that catches my eye because I know the marketplace is full of them.
It's not just the marketplace, it's literally people who are like selling things by hand. Yes, Alex.
I was going to say we should probably hit the building first. And if you want, I can drop the stuff off and kind of give the place an inspection while you retrieve the others.
Oh, yeah, that more suitable. I believing the hotel is up here this way, yeah?
Or maybe it's this way? You're not sure.
I ask Awdel, yeah, this way?
We're going to the hotel. Follow me.
Well, I'm...
And if I may make a suggestion, one should not ask about places like the Street of the Jackals to just any.
Understood. Good piece of advice. Thank you.
So, upon inspection of the home you've rented, a couple of things are just naturally, at first blush, gettable. The street is a dead end. It gives the house is one of two that sit at that dead end. The other one seems abandoned or unrented. The ones that you have the key to now is a 3-floor building. It's not very deep, but it's tall. And while it isn't the tallest structure in the area, it does afford you a fair view of the streets and some of the rest of Cairo. These buildings anyway, at least around here, are mostly between 2 to 4 floor structures, depending upon the families or the businesses that operate within them. From a security standpoint, Sam, what are you looking for?
So a couple things. I want to make sure that the ground floor doors are easy enough to secure and reinforce if necessary. And I want to find the room that gives me the broadest view of the approach.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I will put my things. I will leave the rest of the luggage and gear kind of in the hallway where I'm guessing the other rooms are, however they're distributed. This is just like a house, right?
Yeah, it's basically a house, yeah. I mean, most of the bedrooms are on the second and third floor. The first floor is mostly just what remains living space in a kitchen, yeah.
Yeah. So I will leave the remainder of the luggage on the second floor and kind of set up my... I'll just get a feel for the area, get a feel for the windows, identify potential points of entry, and see how easy the windows are to lock, how many there are. I'll just, like I said, I'll just get a feel for the place.
Yeah. I would say the windows here are fairly simple to lock. The doors seem to not be as dry rotted as some of the other doors you've seen. It looks like at least the front and back doors seem to have been kept in good repair. It also looks like there are bands and barring available on both of them. So if they needed to be, they could be shut and held fast.
Doctor, if you and Awdel want to go get the others, you don't have to stick around for this. I'll be here for a while.
Wonderful, Sam. Do be careful. And,
of course.
We will return when the others get back, and we have...
I won't go anywhere.
I did not... It was not my worry. We will be back in a bit. Doc and Awdel hit the streets.
Okay. So as far as Espakaya Gardens are for the three of you, it is like walking through a small Egyptian palace almost. The gardens are all sorts of different types of Egyptian flora. And the small like pond and river that runs through the gardens, it feels like you've been transported back in time. Beautiful stonework. There's a monument here. There are several other beautiful pieces of statuary that line the garden as well. Yeah, it's pretty tough for you, Jack. Except none of these will fit in your pocket.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sure I can find some statuary.
Oh yeah,
some of the markets.
Yeah,
and
well,
stuff.
you've been triggered probably 2 or 3 times along the way. You've just not had a quick moment to, you're looking for the right piece.
Right. I mean, like the damn entire country is all statuary.
Yeah, about that. So I suppose the takeaways from the garden are this. It is pretty well manicured. It is well kept. And there is almost a facing that's been done to it, right? It's almost as if someone has made it look nice for Europeans to come visit it. There's definitely that feeling to it. Because it sits in the middle of a big area of town that basically caters to Europeans. And so while it is wonderful and while it is exotic, the people who walk here, including yourselves, are mostly white.
Yeah, it's not exactly soaking in the local culture.
No, there are locals here for certain. And the three of you are approached in some ways about buying food or, potentially trinkets, that sort of thing. You do find small pieces of statuary that people were selling. So you do end up spending a little money, Jack. It's unavoidable.
I can't help it.
But you now have a little cat statue.
Another one?
Another one?
Well, you needed a set. You need to you need
set.
a
Full
set.
set. Yes. Different sizes. I have like 3 different bast ones in my living room right now.
Right.
Honk if you love ISIS.
I do have only one bast in my room, but
There's time. So the doctor and Awdel return to the hotel, and eventually come across the rest of you as you've probably taken some time to get out of the sun as it's now getting closer towards noon.
Dog. Hat off, mopping his brow with a handkerchief. And we have procured lodgings.
Excellent.
Yes, it is actually it's quite an interesting place. Yeah, 3 stories. Sam is there now. He is getting our things set up. It seems like it will be nice and secure, and we should not have too many worries. It is £5 a week, and I have put 20 down so far. So
Okay.
I mean, it is just to letting you know. Also, apparently, we need to be careful about using the term Street of Jackals around this town.
I'm
Because
shocked.
even asking about it apparently in the wrong places, it is not as good as it could be.
What do you remember why we're here and why we're looking for these things?
I vaguely. We learn so many things.
So since we're renting this house for £5 a week, I'm assuming that we will need to cook our own meals.
Oh, yeah.
So we should probably go to the market at some point.
Yes.
Leave that to me.
Yeah,
Oh.
Awdel has been kind enough to offer his services in such a manner.
You're going to cook?
Well, he's going to procure. It's not.
Huh. I'm sure we could probably get some local help.
Well, I do know how to cook myself, so
What?
Do you?
I do.
When did you learn that?
Well, our cook at home taught me some basic meals.
Her book before this was To Serve Man.
Yeah.
That's different.
Apparently preparing for my future husband, and
I am totally picturing you as a typical homemaker.
oh yes,
Lillian.
that's on my list of things to do.
Mrs.
No,
Doyle.
but our home chef did teach me some recipes.
You collectively then gather and return to the house that you've rented.
No, we'll have to check out of the hotel.
I mean, your dragoman can do that for you.
Yeah. We have people.
You do now. He is one of your people. New lodgings, for those of you who are just seeing it for the first time, it is a significant step down from Shepherd's Hotel. It is a little quieter, in some in a good way and maybe some in a bad way. Like, this street looks a little abandoned, but it's a dead end.
I mean, if there's people watching the place, it'll be a lot easier to see them.
That's very true. Sam, the rest of the group arrives.
Yeah, at this point, I probably got water boiling from the well, and I might actually be. So I was hoping to be able to kind of catch their approach from the new perch that I would erect on the roof. Once I kind of have some water boiling in whatever pot happens to be available, I would probably go up or see how hard it is to get up on the roof and set up what amounts to, if and when we are assaulted, if I need to murder a bunch of people in the street, this is the position I'm going to do it from. And I'm going to watch for my friends from that spot and see how far I can.
Seems very specific.
To see if you can murder them from that spot.
Yeah, so a couple of things, right? So the roof here is definitely used regularly. It is where likely they hang their linens, given the fact that they'll be up in the sun and in the wind. And
So it's
there's
flat?
easy roof access. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that means
Yeah,
there's a
most-
ledge
most-
too? Oh, this is great.
Yeah, most buildings in Egypt will be flat.
Yep, there's a slight ledge, probably no more than, a couple of feet, but there's a ledge enough for you to...
Pitched roofs are for places where it rains.
I mean, I
Or snows.
have a place to get leverage for my rifle up here. This is great.
Oh, yeah. And seeing their approach is really simple. They're not the only people in the street, but eventually as they get closer and closer and closer to the house, they are the only people coming this far. But yeah, they arrive.
Hey, can I see him up there?
Yeah, I mean, you can make a spot and roll hard requirement.
Just wondering. It'd be nice to know how hard it will be. And yes, 4,699.
Yeah, no, you can see that there's somebody up there, but given the sun, you're not sure who it is. You assume it's Sam, but given the size, but I mean,
if Jack's looking at me, I'll wave.
right? Yeah, no, you see that Doyle spots you.
But it's good to know how hard it is to see somebody up there.
Yeah, absolutely. You inspect the house relatively quickly. It doesn't have a ton in the way of additional furnishings, but you each have a bed. You each have a place for your clothes. It looks secure enough. It looks quiet. That's probably the best part.
I excuse myself to go grocery shopping while they're exploring their rooms.
Sure.
And I go to the nearby market and pick
Yeah.
up some rice and vegetables and
No more than a few blocks away.
Yep.
Easy enough to handle. You get some important items.
While he's gone, I asked the group, those that are in the vicinity, should we, since he's our guide for as long as we are here, should we ask Mr. Zar if he wants to stay with us? Is there room?
It is probably not a terrible idea.
It might be. I agree. It might be more convenient that way if he's interested.
Right. I don't want to, obviously, it would not force him, but just offer him, because then.
I am certain he is having his own place, but perhaps he is wanting to stay here. Yeah, I'm not knowing. But we could ask.
But we should watch him. Just in case.
There's two things I would ask that you bear in mind. I mean, I'm not saying to not do it, but we did choose to do this so that we didn't necessarily endanger or involve anyone else specifically. The other thing is we don't really know this fellow at all.
Right. Also true.
Perhaps we hold off on that until we have a better idea.
Or who his friends or enemies are, I guess is really more what I'm getting at.
Oh, yeah. Till we are certain we can trusting him.
And it might not be a bad idea at some point if we can find out more information about him.
Speaking of enemies, Jack, the room below me also has pretty good vision of the street. So,
Oh, good.
Awdel, you return with the food.
Mm-hmm. I immediately begin storing it away in the pantry.
He comes in with like a selection of foodstuffs.
I go in the kitchen and ask if he needs help.
Oh, no. This is easy. Will there be anything else you need today?
I'm actually putting together a list. Doctor,
Yeah.
could you come with me for a moment? I want to make sure that we can find you a reasonable workspace here.
Oh, yeah. I am thinking as we walk out of the room, perhaps it is best if Maeve takes a room on the top floor. It would afford the best reading light, which she is going to need.
There's plenty of rooms to choose from, sure.
Yeah. But placing to work outside. Oh, you mean for work, yeah.
Well, so if I'm thinking we're looking around the place. If it were dragging somebody bleeding through the front or back, what would be the best place to bring them?
Dining room table.
Yeah, I mean, clearly this you want to create as less mess in the house as possible, so likely yes, the dining room table.
This place right here would be more than sufficient. I could perform any number of sections of it on this table. It would be not a problem.
I add tarps to my list.
Okay, that's fair. There was a discussion earlier about this street of jackals. Is that something we're going to pursue?
Yes.
Yeah.
During the daylight, yes.
I would think so, right?
Mm.
And at some point, we're going to want to start tracking down any information about where the Carlisle expedition was.
That's why we need to get Warren Bessert.
Well,
Yes.
that and maybe like local museums and that kind of stuff.
I was actually thinking of looking up local museums and
There's no such thing.
So there is a Cairo museum here. We can talk about it later.
Because everything is outside of Cairo. They took it out of Cairo, correct?
Many things, yes.
Yes,
Many
so-
things have been taken out of Cairo.
Mhm.
It does not mean that there is not a Cairo museum. There is. The question is more is who is it curated by?
Right.
All museums are British museums.
museums.
I mean,
It's not part of the Penhew Foundation, is it?
I couldn't possibly say. But
The ways here are the Queen's ways.
the Penhew Foundation does have, that you're all aware of, it does have people here in Egypt. They are supposedly digging. That would be the Clive expedition.
Correct.
But
Right, that we want to go to.
yes.
We have to go to the Street of Jackals first.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's in Cairo.
But then we go to Giza. I'm giving
Well,
Mike shit.
Giza's like right outside of Cairo.
Yeah, it's not
You
that.
can see the
far.
pyramids from downtown.
You can
Cairo.
run for it. See, you wanted to see the pyramids.
You're going to lead them to the Street of Jackals, likely against your better judgment.
Yeah, no, I'm not real happy with this. Who exactly is planning on going?
It appears like all of them are.
Yeah, I don't imagine anybody's going to be left behind here.
That's going to be interesting.
So, for your knowledge, Awdel, the Street of Jackals is part of an edge of the bazaar.
Yeah.
And it's called the Street of Jackals because of the tight quarters, the sheer number of people, and also because there are certain things found on those streets that maybe are not found other places. And that could be hashish, that could be opium, that could be potentially flesh trade.
I was going to suggest that the men go, or some of them, and not us, because we're going to stick out in a situation like that.
It's fine. I've got a book to read.
Whatever you want to do, just let me know who's going.
I don't want to, in a situation like that, I don't want to draw any more attention, whether I believe that I'm independent enough to do it.
No, but it's important here to clarify that information is for Awdel.
Yeah.
None of you know enough about the Street of Jackals to make that determination.
The only thing you have is what I told the doctor.
Right.
I'm
Well, okay, I
curious
guess
not
like
to go.
my thought is reading anything on Egypt that women aren't usually found in, other than going to like get vegetables and
No.
No, women are in the marketplace as well.
It's not uncommon for women to be in the marketplace. It's more of where in the marketplace you're at.
Like the flesh.
Yeah.
Well, in 20s, Egypt is a little bit more that they're starting. Well, from what I was reading, some of the women are a little bit more liberal than.
Yep. So right now, as far as that goes, right, there is a section of women groups, especially theater groups, that are pressing very hard for much more recognition and equality. Much to the chagrin of some of their male counterparts, obviously, but the women of Cairo are very, very strong. They are very opinionated, and they are likely not to back down in public,
okay. Well then,
at least in this current age. The fundamentalism stuff that happens later on is different.
then yeah, I guess all of us will want to go.
Yeah, you'll fit right in.
Egyptian women are not to be cowed. That's not what happens.
Yeah, they played a huge role in
The revolution.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's what gets them upset about not being involved in parliament. But basically what happens is they help the Egyptian revolution actually go down. And then when the sultanate is dissolved and he's a king and parliament is formed, women are locked out of parliament and they openly protest.
Well, I know all that.
Which makes
but-
sense. I mean,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that would be public knowledge.
Right. Okay. Then
So
we'll all go.
So the Street of Jackals, you find it in a steamy state. The back and forth movement of the people here alone generates quite a bit of heat, whether it be the friction on the road, whether it be the back and forth of the marketplace interactions. The toughest part for most of you is just accounting for the sheer number of people that you're around. And in a tactical sense for both Sam and likely Jack, this is a minefield, because you're literally pressed sometimes together as a group, and other people are far closer than you're used to. And so you're having to work through that. Your guide is doing his best to keep you moving. But like any marketplace, sometimes the school of fish goes left or right, or sometimes it stops.
And there's always vendors jumping out to try and, especially with foreigners. Foreigners don't really get over on this side of town very often.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of European tones, that's for sure.
I'll be probably shuffling from the rear to make sure that everybody's kind of staying in sight. Basically, that no one is getting too close.
Mm-hmm. You are looking for Faraz Najjar. That is what the evidence that you've collected along the way. He is supposed to be here at the Street of Jackals. And so my question to you, Awdel, is are you inquiring with anyone nearby? You know that they're here at the Street of Jackals. You don't know why yet. And so as you arrive kind of in the street and moving on the street, you're beginning to be at a bit of a loss because you brought them here and now...
Yeah, I don't know why I'm here. So, and I look quite pointedly at Mr. Doyle. You say you're looking for someone?
Yes, we have questions for him. Very pointed questions.
Who are you looking for?
Faraz Najjar.
From letter in Jackson Elias's possession, you know that he had a shop on the Street of Jackals. It's in the Old City, which is where you're at now. Narrow alleys and quite packed and dark streets, even in this high sun.
Yeah, the shop and the alleys.
I will head over to one of the places in the market and see if anybody's heard of Faraz Najjar, because that name doesn't ring a bell with me.
It does not. So after a little bit of asking around, one of the shop owners points a rather bony finger down towards one of the alleys here. It's pretty tight, but yeah, there are a few shops down that way, it looks like. And you hear him intone a prayer to Allah when you mention the name of the shop owner.
Yeah, about what I expect. I will start shepherding my crew that way.
Okay. Each of you feel at least a pair or two of eyes on you as you slink down this tight alleyway. And after about 20 or 30 paces, the din of the actual Street of Jackals slips away. And there is just the hum of the local life here. And you come to a very burned building. A husk of its former self.
We didn't do it
Yeah.
How recently has it been burned?
It's been burned for some time, it looks like. And it's telling also, Awdel, that no one chose to rebuild here. I mean, shops burn. It does happen. Fires do happen. But usually what happens is that the detritus is removed and that something new is brought in.
Yeah, nothing's been put here. That's troubling. I'll look at the shop and then I'll look at them.
Let's go inside.
Yeah, Doc's already slipped inside.
Can I make a spot hidden before we go in?
Yeah, sure. And as far as slipping inside, there is nothing to slip into. It is literally like a 30 by 30 space.
Open frame.
That is open framed and burned. Like you could step over the barrier or the small bit of wall that is still remaining.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm looking for symbols etched into anything,
Sure.
anything on the ground.
Spot hidden. And then go ahead, Lonnie. What are you looking for?
I am looking for people looking at me
Okay.
as my group approaches.
Doc's trying to figure out what that heady, skunky smell is that he keeps getting in the air.
62 out of 75.
You don't see any symbols right away.
33 out of 55.
You do notice that there is a woman across the street. It looks like a shop owner. She deals in, it looks like common trinkets and perhaps some jewelry pieces. But she's looking at you and at the group. She seems very worried.
Yeah, I'm gonna poke around, see if I can find anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I roll to see if I notice that woman looking
Yeah,
at our group?
Sure, go right ahead.
48 out of 99.
There's nothing here.
No.
Things have been picked through. The burned out husk of this building looks like it's been burned for several years.
I get an 87 out of 88.
No.
Okay.
Sam?
I think it's pretty clear that something happened here that spooked the locals.
Can I do psychometry on the building to see the history of the building?
Sure.
Have fun with
you
that.
gonna touch it, Morgan?
I'm gonna touch it and just see if I can see what happened to the people that were in the building and the history of it. And
Just rub your face all over the
Fondle
mythos.
the building in its sensitive areas.
So the first thing you need to do
is roll.
is roll.
Okay.
You have a psychometry roll to
I
make.
do.
You know, you say this place is cursed, and then she goes and touches things.
Mm-hmm.
You're worse than the doctor.
Hey, I told all of y'all, quit touching the stuff.
I get a 59 out of 50, but I will spend the 9 luck to hit my mark.
Certainly.
To make sure that you go crazy.
Yeah.
To make sure your
Yes.
brain doesn't leak out of your nose like
So-
toothpaste.
The nice part about psychometry is it actually doesn't cost her any sand to use, so that is super helpful. You need to, is it a D6
I
for
think
magic points that gets used?
yes.
Yeah, spend 5 magic. So you place your hands on the burned pieces of wood and begin to center yourself. Roll me a D10.
I get a 10.
Okay. So you begin standing there and touching this burned piece of shop. So it's going to take you 10 minutes, but I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Awdel, are you addressing this woman? Are you going to speak with her?
Yeah, I'm going to go over to her,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to bid her a good day.
She says, good day.
What happened here?
She bows her head and asks Allah for mercy before speaking to you. And she says, a terrible demon came.
Demon?
A demon came one day to this building, and with only hatred in its heart, burned and razed the building. It did not stop. Many of us in the street saw it shout, kill.
Kill the owner? Kill.
It was hideous. The owner, I believe, lived. He no longer. He is no longer near. He has a different shop somewhere else in the city I believe amongst the street of pottery. He has taken residence. It's a street. It's a street in an area you know.
Yeah.
I just know that the demon descended from the sky and ripped open the building before setting it ablaze. Your friend there, she should not touch the building.
I'm trying to remember the specific verbiage that she, what was it she asked me? Can you touch things and see where they've been? Or can you touch things and see their history? Like there was a question she was asking me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was, can you touch things and something? I don't remember what she actually asked me. I'm just going to stand here and watch her touch this thing. Is she like entranced? Does she have her eyes closed? Is she?
Yes and yes and yes.
I'm still looking for.
There are no symbols, but the fire that burned this building clearly was exceedingly hot. And you also find it a little strange that no locals have rebuilt here, especially given the packed nature of this street.
Yeah, but I also remember this sounds familiar. So is the whole ground burnt around it too?
Mm-hmm.
See, there's this place in the forest where a supposed party died with the same kind of description.
Interesting.
You know what's even crazier than that? There was a building that burned in New York that nobody decided to build on after it was burned down too.
That is also true. Lillian, the stone here sends your mind in a different direction. The emotions here are some of the most intense form of hatred you have ever felt. It feels like opening a blast furnace of emotions, continuing to be in tune and touch this place. You see a face, a figure, a man working in this shop just for a few moments. And then you see the windows of the shop melt. Not shatter, melt. The door sets ablaze, and as this creature coalesces inside the shop, it walks towards the back. It almost stalks its prey. And as it continues down the aisles of the shop, objects nearby are set ablaze just by the sheer temperature that this thing gives off.
Do I see what the creature looks like?
It looks like a walking figure of fire.
And it is going after the man, the shopkeeper.
It does.
Do I get any feelings from the shopkeeper?
Holy shit.
Like as in extreme
fear.
terror?
You get fear and terror, yes. And you see this figure of fire swat his face. And he cries out in pain before pushing a shelf over towards it and fleeing the building.
So the man has been burned in the face then.
It does appear that way, yes.
So that will make him stand out. But did the creature say anything to him?
No, there were no words uttered. All the entity does after the shopkeeper, escapes, it seems to almost wriggle and boil itself to the point where the only emotion that floods out is this pure, strong sense of frustration. And it pops. And when it does, the entire building is engulfed. The roof comes off, the whole thing.
Well, at least I know what the man looks like now, because I'll be able to remember that.
Those of you who are close enough to Lillian to see her standing almost vigil near this portion of the shop, you see her sweating a lot.
Well, having seen her done this before, I'll go stand next to her in case she collapses.
Okay. Eventually the vision fades. You get what you need from the shopkeeper, Awdel.
Yep, I start to head back over and I look at what I'm seeing.
This woman's acting very strange.
Yes.
She's almost having perhaps she's having a moment. Maybe what it is, Awdel, maybe she knew someone here. Maybe perhaps she knew the shop owner.
I will offer Lillian my canteen.
I've snapped out of it, I'm assuming.
You are
now.
snapping out of it, yes.
Can I make an occult roll?
For
She's acting strangely.
I don't think it's enough for you to.
Okay.
That's a real big leap of logic you're talking about making there.
It's a moment
Now,
of
if someone
hysteria.
was like on the floor, like drawing symbols, then yeah, absolutely, we can make some, reasonable leaps. But
I
no,
haven't caught her being a witch yet.
I will also dump some of the water onto my kerchief, and I will offer both to Lillian and say, "Welcome back."
I take it. Thank you. Just I feel a little bit of. I feel quite fatigued after that. Probably a little peak in the. Well, or flushed. Yeah, maybe pale. I don't know. So I wipe my forehead and take a drink of the canteen. So I know what the man looks like now that ran this shop, and he's now burned down one side of his face from the creature that entered it. The creature, I have no idea what it was.
Now, can I roll occult?
You can roll listen first to see if you overhear it.
No, it's still pretty big leap of logic.
I was going to say when she started kind of talking, I was going to see where Awdel was and start heading him off.
40 out of 40.
Okay, so what you get is something about the shop owner being burned. You don't get a ton of that because what gets in the way of most of the sound is Sam, who kind of steps in the way.
Lillian's having a bit of a problem with the heat. You're gonna have to give us a minute. Give her some space. What did she have to say? I'll gesture to the shopkeeper.
She says a demon came and burned the shop down.
Oh, it's preposterous. I'll take a swig of my canteen.
Hey, can I hear that?
Yeah.
A demon? Really?
42 under 47.
Yeah, you hear him say that the lady across the street said that the demon came and burned the shop down.
Yeah, so apparently the woman across that very low.
Very low.
So apparently the woman across the street said a demon came down and burned down the shop.
Well, she's not wrong. It was on fire. Like, it was just nothing but fire. And it walked
So what do
in
the cops say? Like, this is again to Awdel, sorry.
When I see, you won't see a policeman here.
That's very true.
I'm gonna look at Lillian. If it's the same thing I think it is, we have a scroll to summon one.
I don't want to summon it.
I'm just
Doctor,
saying.
you return with a fair amount of hashish.
Fantastic.
Your spice lady had it.
Oh, that means this is all connected then. Fantastic.
How are we doing back there?
Everything's great. Boring conversation anyway.
Right.
Nothing about
You know
demons.
what, let's not talk about this on the street. Why don't we?
Should we head back to
Yeah, if there's nothing else here.
Asylum?
Well, yeah, unless we can find out where this guy went.
That's true.
You hear what Maeve says.
Well, the lady says that he's over on the street of Pottery now.
No.
Oh, how far is that from here?
It's probably a 15-minute or so walk. It's a little bit nicer of a neighborhood.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot less creepy.
The Street of Potters, as it is called, is also in the Old City, but it's close to Khan El Khalib Bazaar, one of the bigger bazaars of Cairo.
Yeah, much more respectable.
Oh, yes.
Well, I say we go there and see if we can find him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Just in case the group continues to need to talk, I will continue to distract Awdel with my list. And I start inquiring as to, so where did one acquire this? I go over like the tarps, the first aid supplies you might need to replenish, anything that the doctor might need, a list of herbs, spices, holistic remedies, and things to fill my chemistry kit.
Poison.
I mean, he does.
Those will literally be steps away.
Yeah.
I'll tap Sam. Be like, we're going to have a house meeting when we get home.
So you get to the Street of Potters, and it actually is not terribly difficult to find Najjar's shop, as it is labeled. And in English, there is a sign above that says Curios.
Well, I probably don't have a problem reading any of the signs.
There's also a sign in French. No, actually, you don't, actually. So in... you clearly see his name, right? Faraz Najjar in Arabic. You read it immediately. You're like, oh, that's his shop right there.
Oh, hey, it's right there.
And that's when you notice that she reads Arabic.
Yep.
Also in French, it appears that it's an antiquities shop.
Oh, we haven't had good luck with that.
The question I have is who is going inside?
Oh, I'm going inside.
Oh, I got to knock over some shelves.
Well,
Just watch your
Well,
ass.
whatever bad occasions you had in an
Cannons
antique
behind
shop, I'm sure the antique salesman had a much worse time.
we are going to get to this shop next episode. And so as you stand in front there on the Street of Potters, in front of this antiquities shop, you can see that the door is open clearly. And there is a voice inside already beckoning you in to inspect what wonders Cairo can offer. And we want to thank you again for your listening ears. Good night.